started because we got to make
Yeah.
things happen.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go. Well, thank you everybody for coming yet again. And this week we're going to talk about creating a high performance environment within our company, within our team. This in high performance teams, the leaders manage the principals and the principals manage the team, right? And the thing is that us as leaders, whether we're managers, whether we're running a department, whether we're the owner, like everybody's going to follow our lead. Like whatever we bring to the table, that's what they're going to bring to us pretty much. So, look, Larry and I had a low performance team, we've had a medium performance team, and we've had a high performance team. And really at the end of the day, it all came down to what we were bringing to the team to get them the level of performance, right? So yeah, I just want to go over some of that, right? So really the big thing is it all comes down to starting with us. Like, what we're doing to lead by example, both at work and outside of work, right? Because like if your work life's pretty good, but everybody knows that you're a mess outside of work and that you don't have good habits and you're not doing things to be the best, are they going to follow you? Are they going to trust you and feel good about what you're doing, right? And look, winners want to follow winners, right? So the first question you have to ask ourselves is, are we reaching our own goals? Like if we said we're going to do something 100 times and then told everybody and everybody watched us fail to follow through and do it, right? Everybody notices that. Are we taking chances? Are we just always playing it safe? Or are we taking some risk to push the needle forward and to get better? Everybody notices that. Are you investing in yourself? Like for those who weren't here, Scott was mentioning that Thursdays are his education day, right? I'm assuming Jim gives you time to grow each week. Is that how that works, Scott? Yeah. So, Scott and Nikki and Jim they're all investing in themselves to create a high performance workplace for everybody else. And, the other thing is everybody loves winning. Is your company winning? I mean, when things are down and things are slow and it doesn't feel like the company's going anywhere, people lose faith and they lose motivation and engagement. So we always have to be trying to win to get everybody excited about working there, right? And then the other thing is, are we leading by example? Us, the people on this call, like, are we doing the things, the habits, the rituals, all the stuff that are going to inspire people to want to do it too, right? Because that's our job as a leader or a manager. We need to inspire our team to want to do all the things that make great companies, right? And we can't act incongruently to what we want. Like we can't say we want all these things, but then be at the bar until 2 a.m. every night and all those stuff, right? All that stuff. So I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit. I think it's crucial that as managers and leaders that we walk the walk is really what it boils down to, right? So, I'd like to go around real quick and ask. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Scott, I'll start with you. Like, you guys obviously have a program to get better, but like, how do you define or how do you try to build a high performance culture for every single person that works in your company?
Okay, so the left side of my desk is what we call our dream board. Okay, so we've got our goals and our dreams that everybody in our company has laid out. Those are reviewed quarterly. We hold each other accountable for that. That helps us keep everybody on track as far as what their overall goal in life is to become, or their dreams, what they want to accomplish, whether it's I want to be able to afford a new house or a new car or buy my first house, afford a car. I want to be able to travel, to other states and take some time for me. So that plays into some of the benefits that we offer our our technicians as they are onboarded, we provide them with the opportunity to go through Financial Peace University with Dave Ramsey, hosted by Miss Kim, which is my mother-in-law, Nikki's mother, who is our marketing director. And she teaches that in the fall. Jim teaches it at his church in Dothan in the spring. So we offer that opportunity for them to help them out with their finances and show them how to build a budget, things of that nature, to help them win at life.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, look, if they're not winning it outside of work, they're not going to win at work either. Right?
Right.
It bleeds over. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Scott. Kent, what about you guys? What are you doing to try to always create the most high performance culture you can? I know you guys work on this.
Yeah, we do. Matter of fact, Maddie just threw our first quarter meeting, which is a recap of our quarter four, and we just posted some photos and stuff from that on our social media. We did some team building exercises. We go over a lot of stuff. We've invited. We have a representative from Northwestern Mutual that does like IRA accounts and some money management to come in and talk to the guys, schedule something to, just to try to give them kind of an idea of what it would look like if they started saving money and how to. They started everybody with the idea of the 80 20 or 60 20 20,
Yep.
where you set up 3 bank accounts, and then we have Tuesday morning meetings where they have a lot of positive stuff that they go over, but there's also some jobs that they go over as well, and just continually talking to the guys. I have a lunch set up with a few of them every now and then. I'll just grab one of them and take them to lunch and talk to them about what's going on.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I knew you guys did a lot, and notice that both Kent and Scott talked about financial literacy and making sure that everybody outside of work is doing well, in all aspects of their life. And it all starts with finances, right? Like they have to be in a good position to feel good and not be stressed out because there's debt and, how am I going to pay my bills and all that? That's going to take away from a high performer, right? It's inevitable. So yeah, that's really cool. Maddie, do you want to add anything to that? What Kent said, what you guys are doing?
I know that Kent checks our Google reviews quite often. He also takes a screenshot of those and sends those out to the guys throughout the whole company, and everybody will always go in and reply and congratulate them. And we also give like small little bonuses for any like Google reviews, if they refer anybody to us, if we refer somebody out, whatever the case may be. So they have a lot of incentives and a lot of attaboys basically throughout little things that they do. We see anything that they do, we send it in the big company group chat and congratulate them on that or say that they did a good job. It's kind of like building them up throughout the day.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, awesome. All right, Aaron, what about you guys? How do you manage that?
Along with the quarterly reviews, we also just talk with our technicians and get like their BHAGs, their big, hairy, audacious goals, personally and professionally. And we kind of cover that often. We bring that up often. We have a commission board, and at the top of it, I print out their goals, like a picture of it. Like a couple guys are getting married, so I have that up there. So it's just like working towards their goals. They see that every day. They update their board of sold estimates because they get a commission off of that, along with the Google reviews. We gamify a lot of things, so I think that kind of just keeps them going. We're also open book management, so I think that kind of just goes hand in hand. But I like what everybody's saying about the financial literacy. I really like that. We had I think it was our 401k guys came in once and talked about that, but I think that would be like a nice yearly thing to do as new team members come on and kind of just refresh everybody's mind on that. Because
and I would add to that, Aaron, I mean, for everybody, I know I've mentioned it before, but read The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly. Like there's so many good ideas on how to create this high performance culture in that book. Like I personally think that anybody that manages anybody, that should be like required reading that book. It's just that good, and they have a lot of great ideas. And yeah, and I'll talk about what Larry and I did a little bit too. But let me get to Phil. Phil, what are you guys doing?
What was
Oh,
the
Larry,
what was the author's name for that book? Sorry, not to cut you off.
No, that's fine. Matthew Kelly.
Thank you.
Scott, you had something to
will
add?
Larry put that name of that book in the comments?
Yeah, is Larry here?
I know normally he chimes
I
in.
can't see everybody. So sorry, I only have one screen. Larry, can you put that in the notes? Yeah, thanks, man. Okay. Phil, what about you? What do you
Hey,
guys
we have weekly staff meetings for both companies. We're doing training. We're doing we watch your videos. And sometimes we do personal development in those as well.
Mhm.
Those are the ones we like to do the best. And one of the things that one of the questions that she used with the interviews was, "What's your personal mission statement?"
Mm,
And so I heard some other people talking about what their goals, they're getting their goals. These are good ideas. I appreciate hearing this.
good. Yeah, that's why we go around the room to help each other. So thank you, Phil. Marty, what do you guys do?
Um, well, actually, this is somewhere that we're sort of filling in this area. We don't really have much of an accountability.
Okay. All right. So what that you've heard so far do you think you could take away and maybe implement? What do you like that you've heard?
Quite a few things. I guess my biggest issue with holding people accountable, maybe I don't know if I'm the right person to do that, but it's hard
Sure.
to, sometimes people are not as serious about what they want as I tend to be, and I can push too much. So I've gotten
Okay.
to where I don't at all.
Okay. There's probably a happy medium somewhere in there, right? So yeah, I mean, look, it is hard to motivate somebody who maybe isn't terribly motivated. I think it's just trying to get the whole collective feeling like winning, and hopefully they'll get caught up in it and start caring more. Is the goal? That's what we saw, you know. Ken, what about you?
Well,
What
I
do you
mean,
do?
I think us, we're a lot like some of the other companies. We're a small company, but right now we're trying to implement like 401k insurance, and I think that builds up the guys, you know, knowing that they can invest in themselves, and then they have medical insurance that they can deal with. And that's just something that I've been trying to implement in the last month. So, of course, we do the tech meetings in the morning
Mhm.
for the guys to go through that. But that's about it right now. We do the Google reviews, spiff them on that, spiff them on if they like. We have one selling tech, Levi, and so we'll spiff him on that. I think a lot of it, I know, you want to build them up as a person, but when they're young, our guys are really young, like 21 years old. Money is a big issue for them.
Yeah.
So right now we're just trying to do that.
Okay, well, that's a good point. Look, Ken, most of us in a smaller business will have early 20s employees. The money is always an issue for those people, usually, right? Thank you. Denver, what are you guys doing?
We do have regular team meetings. There are some times that we miss, and I'm usually the failure point there is scheduling. But last, I want to say just before winter, my wife was facilitating a financial class with Susie Orman, I believe. We can't get Financial Peace University here in Canada. For some reason, our internet service censorship doesn't allow it. So we had a different financial course, and it was good. A couple of our employees and some of their family joined. And now my wife has started hosting the DISC personality course, teaching people about DISC. So it's kind of helping people understand who they are and who they're working with, and how to work with different personalities. So
Yep.
we're hoping that
Yeah,
goes a long way.
I will say this, and I think Larry would back me up on this. I think doing DISC every week in our team was more valuable than to them being high performers and feeling good about our job, like our business, than anything else, because they could use it everywhere. They could use it with their family. They could use it at the grocery store. They could use it with clients. Like it, I think it just gave them confidence to feel like a higher performer in every aspect of their life. So I would say for anybody, if you're not doing at least some DISC training, it would probably be helpful. Right. So, Tom, what about you? I don't know if Tom's with us. I think Tom's busy. Clyde, what are you doing to create a high performance culture? I don't know if Clyde.
Yeah, I'm driving at the moment, but can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Yeah. So I'm at a stoplight, so I can just talk for a minute. Effectively, I think we remind people of our vision.
Mhm.
You know what we're here for, and our purpose statement. You know what difference we make in the lives of people that we serve, and encouraging people to realise that we're in a very privileged position. Probably that's part of the DNA. We make sure we are very thorough. We get everything done exactly the way it should be done. No cutting corners, no doing things cheap or shoddy. And people respect that we have standards, and we'd like to keep that part of our ethos, part of the way we do things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I'd like to second what Clyde said about, like, mission statement, vision, especially for younger employees, millennials and Generation Z. It's proven that a purpose-driven job for them is very, very important. So I think as some of us older people like are employing younger folks, we have to make sure that they feel that there's some bigger picture than just getting a paycheck for them. And I think that's a great point, Clyde. Thank you. Appreciate that. Andy, I don't know, are you with us? Can you talk?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. What about you? You and your assistant, what are you doing to hold each other accountable to being as high performer as you guys can be?
Well, we try to have meetings, once a week, once every couple weeks, just to kind of keep each other on track. But, there's a lot of things that that's something I'm working on, because I'm hoping to hire another tech soon. And that's something I've got to figure out. And so I'm hoping to learn some things tonight.
Okay, good. Yeah, and look, you guys did awesome. Like, one of the reasons I go around the room is because we all have so much experience in our own little world, and we all do it a little bit differently, that we can all learn from each other for sure. I would like to talk about Larry and I and what we were doing. So our big thing it was the morning meeting, right? We had a morning huddle, and that's where we bonded as a group, and that's where we would talk about our mission and our vision and what we were trying to do, the purpose of each day. And we would try to get people excited for winning, right? We wanted to create a winning culture. Like, if you go to a sports team, they have practice every day. And at the beginning and end of practice, they huddle up and talk about, winning. And we tried really hard to do that. And then obviously we did a lot of DISC. And then we did do vision boards and all that. that didn't go over as quite as well as we had hoped, but we were trading out carpet cleaning with financial planners and accountants and stuff like that, so that they would come in and talk to our team and explain and help give them some financial literacy. So we did those things too, and look, it made a huge difference for us, and obviously it's making a huge difference for all of you guys as well. All right, so let's talk about like the nitty gritty, the actual things, right? So I used to have a lesson that I used to do with my team all the time. I'd stand in front and be like, when does the workday begin? And everybody would be like 7 a.m. or 7:30 or whatever. And I was always like, no, it begins when you leave here today. Because every decision that you make between 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. when you leave and 7:30 or whatever time we started, I don't remember, it is going to affect your next day and how well you perform, right? Our choices, all of us, managers, technicians, admin, it doesn't matter who it is. Our performance tomorrow is always affected by what we do from the minute we leave work till the minute we get there the next day, right? And it's a series of choices. So, like, are we, going to go home and stay up till 3 a.m. playing Halo? Or are we going to go to bed at 10 o'clock and get some sleep, right? We have a choice when we drive home. We can go to the bar and stay there till 2 a.m., get hammered and have a miserable day the next day. Or we could go to the gym for an hour or something, right? And make sure that we feel good. Are we going to make our food and pack it so that we have a lunch and water tomorrow while we're out in the field or while we're in the office or whatever, and eat healthy foods? Or are we just going to roll with Marlboro Reds and Monsters all day, right? Like these things. Yeah, I know, Scott. Me too, maybe a little bit sometimes. Red Bull's my thing. What time do we get up? Are we going to like be running into the shop 1 minute before we're supposed to be there? Or are we going to get there 10 minutes early so we get a little bit of buffer, right? Like every one of these choices, these small little choices adds up. And like in our team, you could see who was making the good choices the next day. Like it was so obvious, like who was making all the wrong decisions and who was making, mainly right decisions. And then it would then go out into production all day long. Like, if some guy comes in and he's hungover and, he's pretty much useless all day, feels crummy all morning, and then in the afternoon he's exhausted because he didn't sleep well last night, right? So, I mean, I'd like to go around the room. We used to talk about this in team huddles all the time because I can't remember who said, oh, it was Ken. We've got 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, 19-year-olds, right, that are helping us grow our company, but they don't think about these things as much as maybe an older person would, right? So we have to be training and creating a culture where it's like party on the weekend, but during the week, go get some rest, right? Like nobody around here is telling you not to party, but we're kind of telling you when to party, So, and, Larry and I even went so far as we put in, our reverse osmosis water, and we went and bought like big jugs for everybody. So we'd get all the water jugs for everybody and we'd have snacks. And we even went so far as we were making like fruit smoothies that they could drink in the morning. Like we were trying to send them out like fueled, because as we all know, any trade, it's hard work. So the better that they feel during the day, the better the production's going to be. Does anybody have anything that they do kind of surrounding this lifestyle management? Are you talking about it? Are you doing anything? Am I the only one? Yeah.
I've had conversations with the guys because I mean, as a 46-year-old, I've developed that old man-itis and go to bed pretty early. But I also started going back to the gym a year ago, so I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I try to encourage the whole team, hey, I'm at the gym at 5 o'clock. Y'all don't usually have to be to work till 7. If anybody wants to join me, I'll be happy to, assist you if you need a gym membership. And I have not had anybody as a taker yet. So I'll keep pounding it in on them, but
Ken, Larry and I, there's a Anytime Fitness right up the street, and Larry and I offered to anybody that can prove that they went 3 times a week, we would pay for their gym membership. Not one person ever did it.
I had brought that up last year, and Chuck was like, "Yeah, if anybody's a taker, and not a one of them, dude, not a one."
Yeah. So anybody, Larry, you want to chime in on some of the things that we used to do to try to, keep everybody feeling their best each day?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. We would give them guidance because they needed guidance more than anything, just how to act. And then we would bring in juices and they would turn their nose up to the good juices the first week or two. And then all of a sudden they started trying it and they would lean into it. It's like when we have our kids and they're just acting in the beginning, and you try to get them to do something different, they're resisting us. And then you try to get them to work out or do something different. And eventually they'll come around to it. But you just got to stay on top of them and lead by example. And that's what we did, was we led by example, which was the most important thing.
Yeah, and I think that's Larry just hit the nail on the head. Like the overarching theme of this entire thing of building a high performance culture is us. We have to be high performers ourselves to get anybody to want to do it. Like everybody knew that Larry and I were going to the gym pretty much every day. Everybody knew that Larry and I were drinking the juices and doing all the stuff, right? So it's like, we can't make anybody do it, but if we can help some people see that it obviously was working for us, then they're going to be more apt to do it as well. Anybody else on this? No. All right.
There's actually something that we kind of do.
Okay.
I guess might be cultivating high performing environment. But one thing we do talk about during our weekly meetings is mindset. We bring that up a lot. And we focus a lot on, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're right. That sort of thing. We think mindset's a huge thing in every area.
Do you see a change in them over time as you keep doing it?
Some people.
Yeah. Well, that's always going to be the case, right? You're never going to get everybody. Larry and I had plenty of guys that would stand in the back of the room in a morning meeting and not buy in at all. But the higher performing culture we created, our team was always on us to get rid of those people. Like the team started taking so much pride in being high performing that the people who weren't buying in, the other people felt that, did not like it, and would push us to move that person on to try to bring somebody in that was more in alignment with their values, which was really interesting. It was almost like they were policing it themselves in a way. So yeah, look, you're not ever going to get every single person to buy in, but so thank you, Marty. I appreciate that. So to build the company that we can feel proud of, we need to instill a culture of high performance in all team members. What's your company doing to guide team members to achieve great things? Scott, I know you guys and Jim really do a lot of employee training. Can you kind of walk us through what that would look like and maybe at different positions and how you manage that?
So let's see if I can nail this one. Looking at that, so we have that's a tricky question. I know the answer that I want to give, but just looking into that. So going through the inner circle, you have the oh my goodness.
Like a pod?
It used to be the simple. Well, no, it used to be the Simple Dimple Business Plan, but now it's the Phenomenal
Growth Planner. Yeah.
Right. So I looked at this, and this come about back in 22, the beginning of 22 is when Howard introduced it.
Yeah.
I looked at it, thumbed through it a little bit. He made it a little bit more broad as far as narrowing it down, and I took it apart and built it as a tool to help my technicians and my service managers, because they don't need everything that's in there. And what I done was I built a coaching book out of that. So each one of my guys own one of these. It's got a specific amount of pages in there. So that's what you see me writing on, by the way, is I take that same book and I've built mine the same way. I have the actual Phenomenal Business Growth Planner, which is 160 something pages, and I've narrowed it down to about 100 pages for the month. And in that, I've put the Wheel of Life every month for every quarter. I've put their goal assessments and their dreams in there at the beginning and at the end of every quarter, which is when I do my quarterly reviews. And it builds itself all the way to the end to where we do our annual reviews with them. Along that, it matches up with their goals and dream boards, which is what I mentioned earlier, and I hold them accountable to that. What are you doing to strive towards those goals and dreams that you have? Are you doing anything on your own? Are we helping you with achieving those goals? Is there anything we can do to help you achieve those? Is there something else outside that you need help with getting to? You know, that's why we provide the Financial Peace University. That's why we go through this training. You know, Nikki is going next month for her level 4 certification up there with Dr. Roma at just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, for her speakers boot camp to become fully certified in this. You know, so she can apply that with them as well. So she can talk with them, so she can teach them how to talk to clients, talk to customers, talk to people out in general every day. You know, understanding how everybody's differences of views and opinions work through each one of the DISC profiles.
Yep. No, that's awesome. No, that's really impressive. And I know that you guys have a high performance culture because of all of this.
Yes, sir.
Right. I mean, I'm going to guess a person that doesn't buy in doesn't last long with you.
And they typically don't. And it ain't due to firing. They pretty much weed themselves out, because, you know, that's part of even the hiring process that Nikki gives them. And this, and Denver can account for this. This is very similar to the same conversation we had during Tribe Time with AC Locklear this morning. Is I've never really had to fire anybody because they've worked themselves out by holding them accountable to their own sets of goals and dreams, and understanding that, yes, it seems like it was attainable, but in real life, if you're not doing anything to help yourself out with it, you're not asking for help, how are you going to reach those?
Yeah.
You know, how are you going to reach your goals? So, I mean, looking at this from that standpoint is we push so hard, we hold everybody accountable. You know, me and Nikki hold Jim accountable. Jim holds us accountable. Me and Nikki hold each other accountable. You know, everybody's accountable for somebody. Miss Marty, if you are in a leadership position, you hold anybody accountable. That is the number one rule. Is if you're in a leadership position, you have the availability to hold anybody accountable, especially for goals. You know, it ain't a do this or you get this. It's a, hey, what are you doing as far as reaching your goals? You know, how can I help you?
Yeah. No, thanks, Scott. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
How many people here are doing some sort of daily or nearly daily huddle with the team, or at least portions of the team? Aaron? Ken? Okay. Like, I can't explain how much a daily huddle meant to us. Like, if there's, you know, I mean, I mentioned DISC, and that was one of the days of the week. So 20% of the week we, you know, talked about DISC in our daily huddle. But, you know, that's the time that we can get buy-in. That's the time that they understand where we're trying to go. That's the time where it's also their time. People want to be invested in. People want somebody to care about them. I mean, think of, especially, you know, younger people. I keep bringing that up, but I've been doing a lot of reading on it. You know, they're more isolated than they've ever been. And for us to create an environment where people care, that makes them want to do a better job, that makes them want to stick around, you know. Aaron, you raised your hand. What do your daily huddles look like?
So everybody gets in at 7:30 and we start the morning huddle then. If you're late, you're late. That's something I gotta work on. Not that I'm late, but I tend to wait for everybody to get there, and then the whole morning is thrown off because we go by literally minute by minute. It's structured. So we come in, I do like when we kind of decompress, we talk about the day prior, we talk about today's jobs as a everybody together, any input. And then we dive into our numbers, where we're at for the month to date, year to date, what we need, are we slacking in any way? And then they post their numbers to the board, and then they go out, they load up and they head out.
Okay. Can I ask a quick question? And I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be difficult.
No,
It sounds like people are late. Why are they late?
It's not as often as I guess I made it sound, and I guess like late by 2 minutes, but then everything else just gets pushed back, and now you're out the door 2 minutes later, and it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is.
No, it is a big deal. It is. Okay. Thank you. Denver, you guys are meeting daily, right?
Yeah, I try to meet the team at the shop in the morning, just to break down their jobs and to point out any points of interest or something they need to be concerned about, or special stuff that they need to load up, any special instructions. It's always a good morning greeting, just to kind of get the day started with a smile. It's not like we start every morning off with a deep conversation. It's more like just a nice friendly start.
Yeah, and Larry's mentioned this before. Like, Larry was always out marketing, but I often was at my desk, and one of the things, like Denver just said, is I used to kind of do that at the end of the day, kind of when I knew they were coming back in. They were on GPS, so I could see who was coming back in. I'd go back out to the shop and help them unload trucks and just let them vent for the day, or I'd carry trash out to the thing with it. It was just like our little bonding time. And look, all of us want people to care about us, right? So like if we can do those little things, they buy in more. I couldn't do it every day. A lot of days I was busy, but when I could, I would go spend a few minutes with each technician at the end of the day and just say, hey, like, tell me about that nightmare client, or tell me about being stuck in traffic for 2 hours in Los Angeles, or whatever it might be. And that way they knew that I was caring and listening to them. And look, all of us just kind of want to be heard too. Like so, okay. I want to go, I know not everybody's in the inner circle, but I do want to mention, Scott had mentioned this earlier. Sorry, I'm having a hard time here. Give me a second. There are pods for inner circle members where you can send your team to, right? And there's, I know I'm going to butcher this. There's a leadership pod, there's an admin pod, there's a marketing pod, right? So like there's different pods for different roles in your company. Is there 5, Scott? Do you know what they are? What are the 5? I'm sorry. You're getting
on the spot, and I threw my fingers up. Marketing, sales, leadership, admin, and marketing drives sales, sales drives admin, admin drives operations and leadership. Sorry. Yep.
Yep. Okay. So, look, a lot of us have people that would fall into one of those roles. And if we don't have time to train them, then, or even we're not the best person to train them, we can outsource that within the inner circle. That's one of the beauties of that coaching group. So, we mentioned the quick review. So we're kind of short on time. So I'd rather stick to this slide more. I'm a believer in data more than feelings, right? And, I believe that everything measured improves, right? Holding team members accountable to a set of performance metrics to hold everyone in to, like whatever your performance standard is, right? So like for us, we job costed every single job. So if you were a field technician, that was the one of the main metrics for your success or failure with us was, could you bring in a 60% or more gross profit on every job, right? On average, right? And that changes a little bit depending on, like for Ken, if he's doing installs, it probably looks more like 50% because he's got a lot of money wrapped up in equipment, right? But you know, there are metrics for each industry as to what your gross profit should be. And so that we don't have three guys in a van all going to Home Depot to get a box of screws and lose all our profit, if we're job costing, that goes away. The lead's going to send the least valuable person and be like, you have 45 minutes to get to Home Depot and back with my box of screws, right? So we need to have measurements like, you know, for us, it was tardiness and absenteeism. That was one of the metrics for all employees. Another metric was, you know, job costing. Another metric for certain roles was your sales conversion rate. Like if you're an estimator or if you're what we would consider a sales technician, we're gonna track that. If you're a CSR on the phone, we're gonna track your conversion rate for the phones, right? And the thing is that we wanted everybody to understand how to win. Because who said gamify? Aaron, was it you that said gamify? Yeah, Aaron said gamify. Like when you gamify things for people, it makes them so much more fun for them to try to achieve, right? It makes every job seem more interesting. Like imagine if we all went and, you know, I don't know, played golf or played basketball or something, and there's just no scoreboard. There's no way to know whether you're doing well or poorly or whatever. You get super bored with that really quickly. But if all of a sudden you gamify that and put a score, people want to improve. People's natural inclination, most people want to get better at whatever it is that they do. So if we can track, and I'm a big believer in tracking publicly, you know, putting it up on the wall so everybody can see where they stand, I believe that that creates higher performance. I've talked about this when I speak in public. My high school baseball coach used to put all of our statistics in the main hallway on the wall of the school. So every single person, including, you know, the girl that you wanted to date, could see whether you're playing well or not. So all of a sudden there's a lot of pressure that you're putting on yourself to do well. And, you know, Larry and I did that with our job, especially in our carpet cleaning department. You know, we would have guys that they wouldn't even say good morning to anybody. They would come in and go straight to that board to see if they made their numbers the day before, right? They were like bought into that, and it was because of the game. So, you know, we'll finish on this. We'll go around. Is any, you know, I'm curious what metrics you're holding different positions to and how you manage it so that it's like, because you can do one of two things with numbers. You can weaponize those numbers against people, which is not going to create a high performance culture, and depending on the person too, right? And what their personality is. Or we can use that as teaching moments. Like for me, if somebody was not pulling numbers to get 60% consistently, then he or I or she or I are going to have a conversation about like, okay, well, how can I help you get there? How you know, what do you think is causing you not to reach your numbers, and what training can we send you to, or let's do role playing or whatever it might be, right? I mean, that's not weaponizing, that's using that as a tool. So I guess my question would be like, you know, maybe Kent or Maddie, like, what do you guys do to hold your people accountable to some metrics so that they know that they're doing a good job or not?
Well, I know for sure that our estimator has a spreadsheet that she keeps track of all of her estimating tasks and everything on there. And she also utilizes that to document like what was missing throughout that job, what they need assistance on, whatever the case may be. And we utilize that to create a training program for the Tuesday morning meetings, as well as if there's a bigger issue amongst all of them rather than just a few people, or somebody just needs a refresher, then we'll do a larger meeting on that or a quarterly meeting so that we can kind of just go over it, and then we'll kind of gauge how they grow from there, if they learn from it or whatever the case may be. And we try to put them in different learning experiences. So we'll do like hands-on and, you know, just reading and stuff like that, just so that we can kind of hit each and every learning curve.
Okay, awesome. Kent, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that's also going to transfer into what we're building now, which is the career paths for each position. we're actually gonna implement in the PM plus, maybe lead plus, a bonus structure that's gonna be built off of those KPIs.
Okay, awesome.
It's all,
That's
that's
great.
all in motion right now. We're slowly working on a syllabus for all of that. So a year
Okay.
from now, it's gonna look up completely different for us.
Okay, that's great. Who else is doing some sort of KPI management for each position? I know those guys can't be the only ones.
I mean, for me,
Yeah.
we put in place the job costing like we talked about in our meetings.
Yeah.
I'm talking to him, not you.
Oh.
That's my wife, sorry. And I have to say I do a poor job of putting it up on the board.
Okay,
I mean, my wife has built the board. It's next to my desk. But that's something that I have to improve in for
Okay.
sure.
so Ken, what you're saying is you want all of us in the group to hold you accountable to doing it.
Correct.
Yeah, we want to
Very
see that board next week, man.
Yeah, there you go. All right,
But-
thanks, Ken. I appreciate your honesty about, struggling with that, because look, we all have our own struggles in this group. There's nobody immune, right?
Right.
Phil, what do you guys do? Hold people accountable to some sense of metric.
Well, one of the things we've been doing is pushing Google reviews. So we make sure we know what each person has and what our total is. That's about the simplest metric we've done. But as we speak, or as I speak, we're trying to do just what I've heard people saying, put together numbers for each technician. And one of my to-do lists for this week yet is to get a whiteboard and put it up. So we're going to start doing that very directly.
Cool. That's great, man. Denver, what are you guys doing?
We got, Phil mentioned Google reviews. We have a game going in with our teams where if they get a 5-star review, each member of that particular team gets a $5 bonus. And if their names are mentioned in the 5-star review, they get an additional $5 bonus. There's a potential $10 for every job. And if they get 5-6 jobs in a day, that's a lot of money over the week, over the pay period. And we just recently, we've had this idea for a while, and our connection, a wireless connection didn't work to the shop. But just recently, my computer guy apparently fixed the connection, and we have a game board going up. We had one made up. It just gives the stats of how the teams are doing, what their daily amount is for the truck. And I'm not sure if the upsell line is in there, but we are trying to encourage some upsells per teams as well. I know you guys spoke about it in a different seminar recently.
Yeah. Nope,
That'll be
that's true.
posted on the TV. It just as they come in, they can see it on the screen.
Yeah, that's great. Anybody else? Before we call it a night? Anybody want to add anything so before we go into the quote of the week, does anybody have anything that they would like to add to just the whole topic of creating a high performance culture that maybe you wanted to say and just didn't get the opportunity? Okay.
So
Right,
I
well,
had lunch with one of the guys today, and I'm just gonna share this. And we talked about, he's actually a project manager here, and he was, kind of complaining about some of the other guys and some of the problems that he was having with them, feeling like they were not quite in the game to win. And I asked him a couple of things, like what are some of your major problems? And he said, well, they just don't do this and they don't do this. And this is like the normal stuff that you're supposed to do on a job. And I said, have you ever reminded them while they're on the job that they need to do it? And he's like, well, I shouldn't have to. I said, well, let me share a story with you. And it was from a podcast that I heard where the guy was asking his son to make sure that he threw the trash out every Wednesday. And without fail, he didn't throw the trash out. So he started setting an alarm and reminding his son. And it wasn't but a matter of months that he had started responding to them, done, dad, done. So
Yeah.
sometimes in training, we may have to pay a little more a close attention and actually work with them on it. I mean,
Yeah, no,
never thought of
look, that's a great point, Ken. Real quick, like Connor was helping me with a slide deck for another presentation. Connor, maybe you know the quote offhand. I don't, but do you have that quote handy?
Yep.
Can you read that quote for us, please?
Yeah, so it's a Samuel Johnson quote. It's people need to be reminded more than they need to be taught.
Yeah, right. I mean, we can teach and teach until we're blue in the face, but most people like, I mean, I'm not gonna pitch Super Tech, but one of the things about Super Tech is they're these tiny little lessons and they're reminders. That's the whole point of it. It's a reminder every day to go out in the field and do these certain things to make people happy, right? And it's the same thing with all of this. It's like we have to make sure that we're reminding our team of what they need to do each day. It's you know, a lot of the guys already know. They just need a reminder. So yeah, we'll finish on this, okay? An Aristotle quote: "We are what we do. What we are, what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." Right? And if I could offer any advice to all of us, including myself, it has to start with us. We have to be better to get everybody else to be better. Like we have to hold ourselves to a standard so high that they can see that we're doing that. And if we can do that, the good ones will follow our lead. All right. Well, guys, thank you. It was a great conversation, and I really appreciate all of you, and look forward to seeing you guys next week when I'm finally back home.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Eric. Thanks, Larry.
See you guys.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
See you guys. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See everybody. Have a great week.